After a few weeks straight of paint stripping, I needed to focus on something else before my hand cramped permanently around the paint scraper. The plan was to try to get the deck house removed so that I could start disassembling the interior and fix the deck beams. But as is becoming increasingly common, that wasn't quite how it went down. First, there was the problem of removing the wooden plugs, or bungs, that cover the screw heads. Ideally, they would be glued in by a thin coating of varnish so that they can easily be removed for repair in the future. Unfortunately, in this case, whoever installed these bungs used epoxy, so now I'll have to dig or drill them out, which might damage the trim and require enlarging the holes. To make things a little more complicated, all the screw heads that I've uncovered seem to be filled with epoxy, so I have to scratch them out with a pick in order to back them out. As I was trying to pull one of the bungs out with a wood screw, I ended up pulling the entire teak trim piece off. The screws that were used weren't long enough and were mostly missing their mark, so it wasn't held on very tight. I also learned after marring 2 or 3 screws that these aren't Phillips, but a similar looking screw head called Frierson, which isn't interchangeable, so I'll need to find that bit before I can continue disassembling the cabin.
This can't be the right bit.
I called a bunch of marine supply stores locally and in Halifax, but no one had them, so I've ordered one online.
I've got these bronze screws that they look like Phillips, but it's something called Frierson. I'm just wondering if you have that bit in stock. Oh, okay. All right, thank you.
As I was making vegetable tags for the garden, the sun briefly broke through the clouds and caught my attention, and as I looked up into the trees, there was an owl, sitting on a branch, contentedly watching me work, and just a few trees away was a second one. I think this was the mating pair that I've been hearing calling out to each other for the last few months. It was honestly one of the most surreal wildlife encounters I've ever had, especially since I'd never seen an owl in the wild before I moved here. We've been watching each other from a distance for the past 8 months or so. In my mind, they've always been this elusive, mystical creature that only came out at night, and to have one become comfortable enough around me that it would sit not 15 feet above my head for almost an hour was really special. I know in many cultures they're looked at as a bad omen or a dark spirit, but I can't look at them with anything but joy. Their presence and their calls bring me a strange amount of comfort. We also had a torrential rainfall one night that saturated the land and made all the rivers and streams swell up. The rivers and lakes around here are really high in tannic acid, so the water looks like strong tea and foams up where it gets churned by the waterfalls or rapids. I'm glad we're getting lots of rain. Last spring was really dry, and the year before that we had those huge wildfires that burnt almost 62,000 acres. I received a letter from Richard in the eastern United States this week. He included a Goonies patch for me to look at for a morale boost if I'm ever feeling overwhelmed by the project. I'll have to find a spot to pin it up because I'm sure I'll need it. My friend loaned me his wood chipper to try turning some of the brush left over from building the boat shelter into wood chips. I think I'll probably just keep making brush piles or dead hedges for the wildlife habitat, more owl food, but it'll be nice to get some of the stuff around the boat cleaned up. Plus, the wood chipper is kind of fun to use. After that, I thought I'd tackle the bowsprit. I wanted to take it down since it needs a lot of work and it doesn't fit under the shelter. It's been collecting rainwater which runs into the boat and down the stem. On the ocean, that's no big deal. The salt in the seawater helps to preserve the wood, but fresh water rots wooden boats. The other problem, though, is that wooden boats are meant to be wet. If the planking dries out, it shrinks and the caulking falls out of the seams, which is what's happened on my boat since it's been out of the water for well over a decade. Maybe that's one of the advantages of having it parked on a bed of wood chips surrounded by trees. There's plenty of humidity. I may also start swabbing or spraying the planks with seawater eventually, but I think that might need to be done after repainting. Anyway, like I said, she's been on dry land for a long time, so I think that most of the shrinking has already happened. Back to the bowsprit. I started by taking off the support lines that hold it in place. The two on either side are made of stainless steel wire and are called the bowsprit shrouds. The one at the bottom is made of chain and is called the bobstay, which attaches to the bobstay fitting at the very fore of the stem where it meets the water line. All three are attached to the tip of the bowsprit at the krantz iron, and they're all tensioned by bronze turnbuckles. I hadn't realized exactly how the bowsprit was being held in. I thought for sure it was fastened somewhere near the stem, but it turns out it was just being held into a socket by the shrouds.
Oh. What?
I'm guessing that's so it can easily be removed if you need to squeeze into a tight berth at a dock.
How am I gonna do this?
It's also surprisingly heavy. It looks like it's made of laminated hardwood. Plus, I'm sure the stainless steel and teak pulpit doesn't help.
Jesus.
I should probably have asked for help to get it down, but it's on the ground now. It's fine.
I'll do it.
Now that I had it down, it was much easier to tackle the fasteners, but a lot of the bronze screws snapped off, and the fasteners holding the anchor roller seemed to be seized, so I'll need to figure out another solution to fully disassemble it. Oh, and I should mention, it's also black fly season, so that's fun. I was getting eaten alive while I was working. I'll need to get my bug spray for the season. It looks like there's plenty of good wood left in the bowsprit, which is a pleasant surprise. I thought the whole thing was rotten, but I might be able to save some of it, though I wouldn't mind replacing it with a lighter spruce spar. Well, that's where things stand now. The bowsprit is down, and I have a couple Frierson bits on the way so that I can start disassembling the deckhouse. I didn't get as much boat work done as I was hoping. I had a bit of a tough couple weeks health-wise, and also had to do some carpentry work to make some extra cash. I'll need to start saving for material for the frames, as well as another building project that I'll tell you about later. Until next time, writing you from a boat in the woods, Joshua. Hello. So these videos are 100% viewer funded. I don't have a trust fund. It's very difficult for me to do both carpentry and make the videos at the same time. They're pretty time consuming to make. It takes about 2 or 3 days to make one video. So if you are enjoying these videos and you have the means and would like to support the project, please consider joining the Patreon. You get the videos early. There's tiers where you get physical copies of the letters. But yeah, thank you for just being here. I know there's a lot of videos on this app, and just the fact that you're watching this one yeah, it means a lot to me. So thank you. Thank you for spending some of your precious time on this earth, watching a man fix a rotten boat, or try to, in the woods of Canada. Yeah, anyway, see you in the next one. Black flies, I swear to